Good morning, good people. This is your Poolproof Wisdom Moment. Listen up. I was thinking this morning about the state of the world. Yeah, I know it's broad, isn't it? State of the world. You know, I guess I could be in one of those pageants and they ask me what I'd look forward to and I would say world peace. And I would actually say that. I would be so happy if that were possible, particularly in the times in which we're living. But all kidding aside, one thing that it occurred to me this morning is that so much of the misunderstanding that exists in the world is based on the fact that people don't have any sense of understanding or appreciation or even acknowledgement for any experience outside of their own. If you grew up a certain way and that's what you have come to believe is the right way, right? You believe that that's the way it should be for everybody else. And you don't stop for a moment and think that maybe everyone that you're judging didn't have the access to the same experience that made you feel so firmly that your position in terms of what you were brought up with to understand, believe, and trust in, they didn't have access to that. And therefore, when you judge someone based on what your experience is, it makes life difficult for everybody. I think we all need to be a lot more understanding. I was listening recently to the brouhaha that occurred when director Jane Campion, who of course rightfully was able to kick back against some things that had been said about her movie, something about the dog. I watched it. It wasn't for me, and it wasn't because of the issues that many people claim were problematic with it. I just didn't find it was my genre. But, you know, she was able to pitch back against some of the things that had been said against her movie. But in the midst of it, while in the audience where people were just there to have a good time, she chose to make acknowledgement of Venus and Serena Williams and made the statement that despite everything, that they didn't have the understanding of what she'd been through because she had to go up against men and they didn't. And I heard that and I thought, wait a minute, in what world is she living? Of course they have had to go up against men. They have to go up against men every day, the officials, the people that they're competing with to get, you know, contracts and deals and this type of thing. It was just a moment where she completely missed the point because she was only coming to the experience in that moment from her own individual experience. She didn't stop to think about what she did not know about what Venus and Serena Williams had been through. She just made an assumption because all she knew is what she'd been through, what she's lived with, the challenges she's faced. And she assumed that these two young women could not have possibly done the same. It was a mistake, and she did apologize for it. A very kind and thoughtful apology, I might add. But a lot of times before we open our mouths, maybe we should take a beat and stop and think before we make a statement about something we really can't be sure of. There is no way that I assume that I know anyone else's experience until they share it with me. And therefore, I let people show me who they are by telling me their story. Once I know their story and I understand their behaviors in the context of that story, it gives me what I need to make a determination about how I can, if I can, interact with that person in a way that is going to be both acknowledging of what they've been through and consistent with who I am. But I'm not just going to let them walk into the room or make a snap judgment based upon one comment. I need full exposure to the experience that they've had so that I can find ways to align it, potentially, with the experiences I've had. And once I've done that, then I'm informed enough to make a decision about the nature of that relationship, if it is going to be a relationship at all. I try to do that consistently throughout the world because, let's face it, we are filled up to the gills right now with people who make snap judgments. Everyone has an opinion. God, they do. And it doesn't seem to matter whether it's informed or not. I like to dwell in a place where people make their decisions and draw their opinions based upon information that is available. Not just based upon feelings, because God knows we all have plenty of feelings. But feelings, as we all know, are not facts. Yet the number of people who pretend that they are, it's becoming almost legion, isn't it, these days? But we've got to do a better job. So much of what's going on in the world is based on the fact that people are not paying attention to the experiences of everyone. They aren't giving themselves the sway to understand what they don't understand and how that applies to why other people do what they do, say what they say, and act the way that they act. And until we are willing to give ourselves over to doing that study, to doing that understanding that's necessary to understand what other people are about, really about at their core, we are never going to be at a point where we're able to get along. That's because without understanding, without appreciation, without acknowledgement, all we're left with is speculation. Speculation based on our own individual experiences, which, though as Dr. Maya Angelou had said many, many times, many, many years ago, we are all more alike than unalike. Those things in which we are unalike also play into who we become. And if you really want to have a relationship with people, if you really want to understand what people are living with and living through, give yourself over to spending time learning what their experience is and learn what their experience is, no matter what yours is, and appreciate it for what it is and what it isn't in the context of your own. It's the only way, good people, of finding the path to commonality. And that is where we must stand if we're all going to learn to appreciate the human experience. And that's your Poolproof Wisdom moment for today. Find my podcast, Poolproof Wisdom, on podcast platforms everywhere. You can find my books online at Amazon and other online booksellers on PooleProofBooks.com, and the audio version of my third and latest book, I Am My Own Cause, the third act, Surviving and Thriving, on Audible. Listen, good people, it's Wednesday, middle of the week. We are at the point where we are having a chance to look back over what has been and to look forward to what will be. Let's not dwell in the past. Let's hope for the future. And in hoping for that future, let's all do our very best to make it a good one.